welcome to the very first episode of Big Camera or Little Camera. Hi guys, welcome to another video and welcome to the beautiful Yorkshire Dales on a very crisp winter's morning. Now there's a particular reason why I've come to the Yorkshire Dales, and it's not to talk about these two different cameras or to do the comparison, which you probably guessed from the title of this video is what I'm going to be doing. But it's fact because it's supposed to snow tonight and there's a big heavy snowfall forecasted. So what I'm trying to do is get myself into the heart of the Dales, hopefully in a good spot on a nice campsite, with that childlike desire to wake up in the morning for there to be snow everywhere. But let's get back to the job in hand, which is the comparison of micro four thirds and full frame for landscape photography. Let's call it a shootout if you want, a camera showdown, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of days is I'm going to be taking a shot on a micro four thirds camera and a full frame camera and then comparing it. Now it's all going to be very untechnical. Basically what I'm going to do is put the two shots up on the screen for you at the same size with a little bit of fun going on and seeing if you can guess which shot was which. Now to make things interesting, the camera I'm using for the full frame is my Panasonic S1R, which is a 47 megapixel high resolution camera body, which I'm going to set to the 4:3 aspect ratio so it will match the GX9. But obviously this is a very unfair test really, because this is a 47 megapixel camera and we're going to be competing against the 20 megapixel Panasonic GX9, which obviously is my little micro four thirds camera. But it'll be interesting to see if at the sort of screen resolution used in social media and stuff like that, which is, let's face it, this is where a lot of people post the photos. It's a lot of the way images are consumed nowadays is online, of whether you can actually tell that much difference. So my first shoot is at Cauldron Falls near West Burton Village in the Yorkshire Dales National Park. Now with this shot what I'm trying to do is use these rocks at the front as a bit of foreground interest and having a suitably long exposure, so we've got this sort of nice blurred water effect going on around here. And then obviously with the waterfall pretty much smack bang in the middle of the frame. So, and the reason I'm choosing it to be in the middle is I really want that to be the main focus point of the shot, so there's no sort of doubt that I'm taking a photograph of the waterfall, but with these rocks at the front just to sort of lead your eye nicely into the frame. There's a little bit of autumn colours still going on. I've tried to marry up the two exposures as best as I can. Obviously it's going to be a little bit difficult because the full frame camera I can quite easily shoot at a higher f number and not have to worry about diffraction, but with the micro four thirds camera I have to try and sort of bring it down a little bit. But I think I've got it pretty close and I'll put the two shots up for you now. I'm not convinced by this composition, and I think the problem is, to be honest, the focal length I'm using, because the widest I have on the Panasonic GX9 is 14mm, which is 28mm full frame equivalent. Now, I've come to the Winskill Stone Nature Reserve in the Yorkshire Dales, of course, and basically it's a big patch, it's a little expanse of limestone pavement with this very photogenic single tree there. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use this pavement to lead your eye straight down to the tree. Now, as you can tell by the lighting conditions, it's really quite grey now. It's also getting very chilly. I'd say snow's not too far away, but it's quite grey and the lighting is very flat. So it's going to be black and white. So I'm trying to keep the composition as simple as possible, because I think when you haven't got any sort of dramatic light, I think simple compositions generally work better. So it's just a case, I've gone for a square crop, because again, square seems to simplify things. And I'm just trying to lead my eye straight down towards that tree. Whether it works, I'll let you be the judge of. Now, I did have a minor disaster while finding this shot, actually. Basically, this tripod head wasn't tightened up tight enough on the clamp, and the GX9 fell off while I was walking with the tripod and ended up bashing itself just here. I'm not sure if you can see it. There's a little bash just there. Smack bang off a rock. It was like, it couldn't have got any harder impact if we tried it. I actually thought there's probably going to be something broke. I'll be honest, I've thought this was going to be perhaps the end of the video, because I thought, well, perhaps I've just knackered the camera. But you know what? Apart from that little graze there and a little bit of a scrape on the EVF, it's still working absolutely fine. So I think that's testament to the construction of this little camera. It may look a little bit cheap, you feel a little bit cheap in your hand perhaps, but you know what? It's obviously built really well. However, it's not built as well as this bad boy, because the S1R is built like an absolute tank. You know, I get the feeling that if I drop this off a rock, the rock would come off worse than the actual camera, because honestly, this thing is just, it's a tank. It feels so good in your hands. What I would say about this camera, actually, in many ways, it is my perfect landscape photography camera. It's rugged, it has a screen that flips out both ways like that, as opposed to a fully articulated screen which comes out, because I'm not a great fan of that. And the GX9 just goes like that, which is great, but you know, 47 megapixels, built like a tank, weatherproof, lots of dials, screen on top. In some ways, it is the perfect landscape photography camera. However, it's built like a tank and it weighs like a tank. It's such a heavy thing to carry around. So if you're going out and you're fully committed to landscape photography, this is the camera to use. However, if you're just going out for a casual walk and you think you might take the odd photo, you're not going to take this just in case, because it probably is the heaviest camera I've ever owned, and I suspect it's as heavy as my GFX, Fujifilm GFX medium format used to be. Obviously the lens isn't, but yeah, you know you're carrying it around. But you know what? It's a beautiful camera. I do love it, and I love the quality of the images. I really do. There's something quite unique about them. Anyway, I'm going to take this shot. Believe me, I really wish I wasn't carrying the Panasonic S1R at the moment. So yet again, the weather forecast let me down. It did snow in the night and it was mighty cold, but the snow didn't particularly come too much. It didn't particularly stick, to be honest. So I stayed at Horton in Ribblesdale, and I thought there, if I was going to get some snow, and the forecast was good for snow, depends how you look, if that's a good or bad forecast, I suppose. I thought it'd be a safe bet if there was going to be any snow that would stick there, but yeah, not much happening really. So we're hiking up to the Twisleton Scars at the moment, and it's another limestone pavement area. It's a lot larger than I went to last night, and I'm hoping the sun's going to break. It's trying, to probably still tell by my face. And really I'm looking for a photo of a limestone pavement, probably with a tree, but most importantly a snow-capped Ingleborough Mountain in the distance. I'll meet you up there. So dangerous, these rocks. I'm worried I'm going to have exactly the same problem I had last night, that the 28mm is not going to be wide enough. Only one way to find out. I think one problem I do have with this camera is it's quite fiddly. You know, I'm using gloves and it's doable, but what I will find is I won't be able to use the rear screen to focus, so I'll have to take a glove off. Oh, actually, 28mm was working really quite nice. from just about here, actually looks really good. Okay, cool, all set up. Now, whilst I was singing the praises of the Panasonic S1R yesterday, I actually forgot to mention something else I really like about it, which is the EVF, because the EVF is gorgeous. It probably has to be one of the best EVFs I've ever used. I'd say almost like using a traditional DSLR. It's that good, really nice. And will I tell you what's reminded me about that point? This EVF, frankly, is pants. It's usable, it does the job, but it's not pleasurable, but it works. I think that's the best way of putting it, it works. I quite like the fact it flips up, that's cool. I perhaps should get the eye cup, perhaps that would make the world a difference. But one thing I will say, this is a small camera and it's got an EVF. And if you think about a camera that Panasonic have recently released, which is Panasonic S9, which doesn't have an EVF, I think that's to be commended. This actually does have an EVF. So yeah, I will always take some sort of EVF over no EVF at all. As you can see, quite a simple shot. It's all about this limestone pavement here, and I've tried to find a nice patch, this bit round here actually, that sort of leads your eye through the frame towards the tree. And then in the distance, it's the snow-capped mountain, and that's why I really wanted to get it this time of the year. I would have liked there to be more snow around here, to be honest, but it's not to be. Anyway, I'm going to hang around a little bit, and when the sun finally comes out, here's the shot. Well, it's a few days later and I'm back in Northumberland. The snow never did materialise, it was cold. I did manage to take a few more shots throughout the trip in Yorkshire, which I didn't actually vlog at the time, simply because I was working against the light, I'll be honest. The light was quite changing, but I'll put the shots up on the screen for you to look at now. But I think what's most interesting is, with those shots, everyone I took with a Panasonic S1R. And to be honest, it was nothing to do with image quality. That wasn't the reason why I automatically reached for that camera. It was simply down to usability. Because I think if you've looked at the photos earlier, comparing the two different cameras, I actually found image-wise, yes, the S1R had the edge, but it wasn't anything to get too excited about. It wasn't that noticeable at the sort of resolution I needed to print at anyway. That's what I'd like to say. But usability-wise, just the larger EVF and the joystick and the better grip made the S1R really the camera I did grab every time. And of course, I had a wider lens for it, which that does help, because it means if I needed to get a nice wide shot, it was possible, and it wasn't possible using the GX9. But from an image quality point of view, I don't think there was much in it, and I think that's the whole point of this video. It was never to see if one camera system was better than the other. Is full frame better than Micro Four Thirds for landscape photography? On paper, yes it is, but there's lots of things going on, like a smaller size camera and a lighter body can be better because you can walk around easy. You know, that slog up the hill to the Twisleton Scars, it was a slog. And if I'd just been carrying the GX9, that would have been easy as anything. So I think my takeaway from this is they're both great. There is no winner. I would like a happy medium between the two, I suppose. I would like smaller lenses and a smaller body than the S1R, at least lighter. But I want a better EVF, and I want a better grip, and I want a joystick on it. And 2 card slots would be nice, but not the end of the world. So really, the takeaway is that there's no winner. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. And I'll see you again soon for another one. Thanks for watching.